Mummies. Some of the most mysterious and misunderstood fossil finds in paleontological history. Because whatever you're thinking counts as a dinosaur mummy, you're probably wrong. Unless you're a pre-existing dino nerd with encyclopedic knowledge and a financially inadvisable amount of trilobites. Either way, welcome. I'm Helen. And this is Tribby, Troubles, Trebbit, Triador, Traginold, and the Admiral. And we're about to explore the weirdest secrets of the dinosaur world. So what counts as a dinosaur mummy? The working definition is a fossil that preserves extensive skin impressions on the rocks surrounding its skeleton. Now, I will say, the lines of this vocab word can get a little bit blurry, because sometimes we'll run across a fossil so stunningly lifelike that it scares your sister's cat, but other times, we'll find a fossil with some skin fragments, but still plenty of naked bits. So, as I take you on a time-traveling tour through the most famous dino mummy finds, know that the dino mummy line can get a bit blurry. In other words, if I miss your favorite mummy, do not make like the ghost of John Hammond and haunt my DMs. Comment below like a normal person. Now, the history of dinosaur mummies should really be pitched as like an HBO drama for how quickly it gets absolutely unhinged. We start off with one of the biggest names and mustaches in paleontology, Charles H. Sternberg. In 1901, he and his 3 sons were walking around Wyoming practicing the most important family bonding activity, fossil hunting, when they stumbled upon something impassable. It was an Edmontosaurus, type duck-billed hadrosaur who lived around the same time as T-Rex, Triceratops, and presumably Chuck Grassley. However, this Edmontosaurus had some kind of hardened material still wrapped around the bones, stretching out between the joints. The Sternbergs could not believe their luck. It was skin. God, I would have given both pinky toes to be there. Balance be damned. But the term dinosaur mummy was only coined in 1911 by Henry Fairfield Osborn after seeing said Sternberg mummy. In fact, that actually totally and completely sucks, because Henry Fairfield Osborn was a freaky racist loser eugenicist whose biggest fanboy was Adolf Hitler. But while Osborn was busy being a freaky racist loser eugenicist whose biggest fanboy was Adolf Hitler, the Sternbergs were actually being useful, finding another Edmontosaurus mummy in 1910. Then, in 1912, Barnum Brown, another big boy in American paleontological history, found a Corythosaurus mummy in Canada. And apparently not wanting anyone else to encroach on their dinosaur mummy monopoly, the Sternbergs found their 3rd mummy in 1916. Thrilled to share their dinosaur mummies with the wider world, they arranged for it to be mailed with several hundred other bones and 22 wooden crates bound for the British Museum. But turns out World War I wasn't the best environment for paleontology, because on December 6, 1916, the SS Mount Temple was intercepted by a German merchant raider, and after an awful miscommunication, was sunk by the German ship. Morbid irony, considering that just 4 years before, the ship had responded to the infamous SOS of the Titanic, but was trapped by ice before it could save any survivors. Oddly enough, over a century later, there have been some recent rumblings to recover the SS Mount Temple. I guess some modern historians are really itching to see what still might be preserved on the ship. All speculation aside, though, the disaster kind of put an 84-year curse on dinosaur mummies, because another one wasn't found until the year 2000. Oops, I did it again, healed something in society. And was definitely on that Montana radio station when members of the Judith River Dinosaur Institute found a Brachylophosaurus mummy. Brachylophosaurus is in the same family as Edmontosaurus and Corythosaurus, but definitely had a nasal cavity you could direct traffic through. Now, I cannot overstate how much of a celebrity Leonardo was. Yeah, they named the specimen after a Ninja Turtle. They also made a movie about it and even put it centerfold in the Guinness Book of World Records. Fortunately for a public who was suddenly starved for more dinosaur mummies, an Edmontosaurus named Dakota was dug up only 6 years later. You'll never guess where it was found. But the real mummified megastar of the early 2000s arrived in 2011 and was actually found by total mistake. You see, at an oil sands mine in Alberta, Canada, this miner named Sean Funk suddenly struck paleontological gold, which unfortunately for him wasn't like real gold, but a 100-million-year-old Bryolopelta mummy. So, fortunate for us. Bryolopelta was a type of nodosaurid ankylosaur that today has some of the most accurate paleo art of any dinosaur in history. This is because Sean Funk found a dinosaur mummy more lifelike than possibly ever before. The top front half of its body preserved like a terracotta warrior. But remember, when that body was found, the majority of it was still entombed with within the fossil matrix. Fancy talk for surrounding rock. So it took fossil tech Mark Mitchell 6 years to remove all the chaff and prepare the dino for display. Since that's enough time to complete college, earn a master's degree, and learn to knit, he was honored by becoming the species name for that Burialapelta. But after this landmark moment, we had a bit of a second drought in dino mummy discovery. Until last year, when a paleontologist named Paul Sereno let his hyperfixations run gloriously wild. This is your sign to info dump with friends. Sereno's a huge dude in the modern world of paleontology, loves to casually revolutionize the Spinosaur canon and wear endless button-down shirts. But in 2025, he decided to join some of his UChicago colleagues in a little bit of detective work. Their goal? Find the spot where the Sternbergs dug up their first mummy. Now, since Charles Hazelius Sternberg wasn't exactly live streaming his location at the time, this was a bit harder than you might think. Especially because the town that Sternberg references in his notes, Warren, Wyoming, doesn't exist on any map.
Right.
Fortunately, after some digging, Sereno and the UChicago gang found a rancher whose great-grandmother was the postmaster of Warren, Wyoming, which did, apparently, indeed exist. So now that they finally had some coordinates to work with, they were able to pinpoint the old dig site where they found not one, but 2 new dinosaur mummies. And little did they know, these specimens would become far more important than anyone could have ever imagined. Meet Ed Sr., an adult Edmontosaurus around 5 to 8 years old around the time of his death, and Ed Jr., a juvenile Edmontosaurus who is about age 2 at curtain call. Oh, and if you think I'm the one behind these nicknames, think again. Paleontologists love a good nickname. Almost as much as herpetologists love a good mushroom-tongued salamander. Seriously, at a summer field camp with the Sternberg Museum of Natural History, they named our 2 Xiphactinus specimens redfish and bluefish. Get it? Because 1 fish, 2 fish, redfish. Get it? Like at the Natural History Museum of LA, we even have a massive green sauropod named Natalie with a G for all the gnats that nearly ate the paleontologists alive during her excavation. So anyways, Ed Sr. and Ed Jr. are huge wins for the world of paleontology. For one thing, they brought Edmontosaurus to Burialapelta levels of clarity. We now have confirmation that the hadrosaur had a fleshy comb at the top of its head, the earliest known hooves of any 4-footed animal, and a full set of dragon-like spikes going down its back, or a skin flap, depending on whose paper you ask. At this point, Edmontosaurus might even beat Burialapelta for the title of best understood dinosaur, just for the sheer amount of Edmontosaurus fossils we found. Really putting together the full Renaissance painting. The reasons behind their impressive prevalence in the fossil record are thought to be threefold. Number 1, Edmontosaurus as a species was around for a massive amount of time, about 10 million years. We humans have been around for roughly 3% of that time. So automatically Edmontosaurus gets a strategic advantage in the numbers game. Number 2, it was a prey animal, and those are almost always gonna have a greater population than their predators in any given environment. Modern day ratios can range from 1 predator for every 10 prey to 1 for every 100. Excluding plankton, those guys get weird. And number 3, Edmontosaurus was big. And what's more likely to be preserved fully to partially articulated in the position in which it died? Not something squirrel-sized, something that weighs enough to wait undisturbed till the 20th century. But as especially cool as all this is, learning more about Edmontosaurus isn't the only reason why the Eds have been rocketed into the fast track of paleontological halls of fame. These 2 specimens actually revealed that our assumptions surrounding the whole creation of dinosaur mummies were shockingly
False.
So, we originally thought that a quick burial was a dino's best bet for being preserved as a mummy. However, Ed Jr. and Sr. show that laying on the surface for a few weeks to even months could have been a better option. See, scavengers, and just decay in general, leave around a lot of holes. Trypophobes be warned. Holes that release all sorts of gases, fluids, and microbes, allowing for the dinosaur's actual skin to dry and harden, keeping it in pretty good shape for sticking around till the sediment buries it. And the proof is in the paleontological pudding, because both Eds are covered in a thin layer of clay, about 1/100 of an inch thick, that creates this kind of natural cast of their skin. So all in all, here's what we now think happened. Ed Jr. and Sr. die. Maybe from starvation, or illness, or eating Taco Bell twice in one day, who's to say? Then, their carcasses became all dried out in a drought before getting suddenly engulfed by sediment in a flood. This allowed for a whole horde of bacteria to latch onto the wet skin, a perfect place to start their microscopic housing complex, already full of awesome little organic nooks and crannies to squeeze inside. This microbe-made community communities called a biofilm, and way back when, it would have attracted surrounding clay to form that detailed mask of the skin. Finally, once all the organic stuff decayed and washed away, the mask was left to show exactly what used to be there. This phenomenon is a totally different thing from mineralization, what gives us dinosaur bones, and imprinting, what provides footprints.
You imprinted on my dinosaur footprint.
So in Serino and his colleagues' paper, they coined the term clay templating to describe this process, meaning that Ed Jr. and Sr. don't have fossilized flesh so much as clay molds welded by microbes. And after hearing all that, I'm sure some of you might want to meet a dinosaur mummy of your own. So stick with me and we'll go through a list of where in the world is your closest dinosaur mummy. In chronological order! That first Sternberg mummy, also known as Edmontosaurus mummy AMNH 5060, see why we like our nicknames? Now sits behind glass at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, which, funnily enough, is also where you can see Barnum Brown's Corythosaurus mummy. But worry not, Europeans, because the Sternberg's second mummy, Edmund, is on display at the Senckenberg Nature Museum in Frankfurt, Germany. Unfortunately, the Sternberg's third mummy is only available for viewing at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Or sucks. Fortunately, Leonardo the Brachylophosaurus is constantly on a world tour, above sea level. Though technically owned by the Great Plains Dinosaur Museum in Montana, this mummy's been to Houston, Indianapolis, and most recently, the Fukui Prefectural Dinosaur Museum in Japan. For updates on where it might be headed next, check out the Great Plains Dinosaur Museum website.
You saw that moth too, right? That was so cool.
Dakota the Edmontosaurus can be seen at the North Dakota Heritage Center and State Museum. The one and only Bryolopelta is currently on display at the Royal Tyrrell Museum of Paleontology in Alberta, Canada. And as for our Ed Jr. and Sr., they're still being researched at UChicago's Fossil Lab. But stay tuned for any updates. And thank you so much for joining me on this Dinosaur Mummy Odyssey. They're some of the oddest but most important fossils out there, helping us see dinosaurs as real animals, not just movie monsters. And if there's anything we need in the world right now, it's empathy. Oh, and finally, I'm gonna start posting a lot more long-form videos here on this channel. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, like, subscribe, comment, join my Patreon, and turn on those notifications. I'm a good YouTuber, I promise. Bye.